And we are back here at ARN, the newsroom with Millie and friends. How is everybody doing? Shout out to the people that's tapping in. Good morning to everyone. You're getting the news, the interactive news, live and direct right now. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click subscribe and follow and leave us a comment. We appreciate that. We are going to get right into the news. First thing we're going to go into, y'all know it's the all the debates, election season. Let's get going. So a couple of things are coming up, and I want to just mention a few. A federal appeals court has unanimously ruled that Donald Trump can be put on trial for trying to stay in power after losing the 2020 election, rejecting Trump's sweeping claim of presidential power that one judge feared could allow for political assassinations. Now, this is, he was trying to get immunity so that he can not, go to trial for the January 6th situation. And they ruled that, nope, you will go to trial. You're not getting immunity. So I'm going to read just briefly about it. Hey, Kappa Boy, what's going on? Welcome to the stage. Hey, for the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become Citizen Trump, no longer President Trump, with all of the defenses of any other criminal defendant. But any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against prosecution. So this is basically what happened. He was trying to do that. Nope, sir, you're going to trial. Trump has already indicated his plans to ask for a full U.S. Court of Appeal for the D.C. Circuit and U.S. Supreme Court to review the ruling. While his legal arguments keep flailing in court, even rulings against him aid his goal of delaying any federal trial in D.C. until after the presidential election. The trial had been scheduled for March 4th, one of the 4 criminal prosecutors Trump faces, while simultaneously campaigning to regain the White House. But it was delayed last week. While the appeals process of immunity issued continued, Trump remains the leading Republican candidate in the 2024 presidential election, having handily defeated his rivals in the Iowa caucus and New Hampshire primary. So, the Justice Department has long held that current president cannot be prosecuted, but Trump raised a novel claim that former presidents cannot either, at least for actions related to their official duties, unless impeached and convicted by Congress first. Having been acquitted by the Senate of inciting the January 6, 2021 insurrection, Trump said that to try him for federal court would be a double jeopardy violation. So this is what it is. It's still something that's happening. It's still going on, but they unanimously voted that he will not have immunity. So I will open the floor to the audience, to callers, listeners. Any thoughts on that? What do you guys think this means for Trump? How do you feel about it? And if you have expertise, what do you think? And I'll go on mute.
There aren't going to be any experts on this because this has never happened before. So we're learning as we go. This is trial by fire.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the precedents that it sets. And I think this is a little bit scary because we do know that the Supreme Court is definitely skewed. 6 Republicans, 3 Democrats. From that standpoint, conservative, liberal. And I'm curious when this does make it to the Supreme Court, because it will, what's going to happen as a result of that. But I believe the judge's basis is that they want to make sure that they preserve the integrity of the presidential office in this case, because of the fact of the matter is that if they don't, it sets a precedent. And that's a big word that you all will hear me using when talking about how we are dealing with the fact that there's a real chance that Trump may make it back into office. But they understand the precedence here is that if they do not deal with this properly, then a sitting president or a presidential candidate could off their rival, well, not a presidential candidate, but a sitting president could off their rival and not be culpable for that. So I'm interested to see how it plays out.
That's a really good point, and I think that's been brought up in these arguments. One of the judges, a Republican judge, and you need everybody to be unanimous. One of the things that she raised in the argument, and I know she's saying that, both assertions are viewed as skeptically by legal scholars. Several who served in Republican administration wrote to the court that Trump's position was absurd. And by the three appellate judges who heard the case, I think it's paradoxical to say that his constitutional duties to take care that the laws be faithfully executed allows him to violate criminal laws. So I think that's what they're standing on. President or not, you're violating these criminal laws, so something has to happen. We'll see how that goes. For more information on this news and articles, I got this directly from Washington Post, so you can read more on this as we go along. It's a very lengthy article and it has a lot of information, so do your due diligence and check into it. We will go into one of the things that, one of the stories that's just been everywhere, and it's a lot going on here. One is, what are we doing about immigration, right? To the bill. They just passed this humongous bill. $118 billion. So I spent a lot of time last night looking at this and the breakdown. If you guys get a chance, go check the bill, check the text on the bill. The breakdown for $118 billion, which is what I would like to focus on, and you guys can talk about it as we go on. What are we doing with $118 billion, right? Where is it going? And when you look at the breakdown, the aid is to Ukraine and to the situation in Palestine, right? Most of that money is going to hardware, weapons, and things like that. A little bit is going to some aid, but I would like for you guys to, if you didn't have a chance, go and read the bill. There's a very small amount that has to do with the Mexican border and immigration. That was the only focus that they have, these three areas. They did put some new people in charge to say, hey, we're going to monitor the border. If there's more than 4,000 people coming in, we will have an emergency, a state of emergency ruling. If there's more than 5,000 in a certain amount of time, they have the opportunity or the authority to have another state of emergency and shut the border down. The only thing they have is you cannot have the border shut down for more than 45 days. It's very detailed, but when it comes to the immigration piece, especially from Mexico, it's really not a lot of funds, or they're only a new policy, I would say, to shut the border down if these things are happening. But the majority of this $118 billion is going to the aid of the Palestine situation and Ukraine. And most of it is submarines, weapons, hardware, and things like that. I don't know if you guys have seen this bill. And so anyone I know, Stefan, I'm going to go to you first because I know there's a crisis that's happening that, you can shed some light on. And what does that mean? What does this bill mean for what's going on right now? So I'll go on mute for now. And Stefan.
Well, right now, the real big problem that, like Texas is that the federal government has a law that Texas is responsible for the border with Mexico. And so Texas put up the barbed wire. The United States government decided to send in the Army to actually remove the barbed wire because people were dying trying to cross illegally. And so now the Texas governor has told the National Guard of Texas to reinstall the barbed wire. So you actually have a situation where the United States Army and the Texas National Guard are facing off on each other, trying to protect a border that they're ordered to protect. And if you're not giving them the funds and the aid to support the border, how can you hold them responsible for the border? So it's a total oxymoron with this immigration bill, but you're allowing immigrants to come in illegally, and they really aren't paying attention to the importance of the cartel has started to aid people from other countries, not like Mexico or El Salvador, but from like the Ukraine and the Middle East and Africa, to use the Mexican border to enter the country illegally. So it is a total mess, and everybody's not paying attention to it. But like people in Texas, they're complaining because their grocery stores aren't being restocked and their border is being attacked. And this immigration bill is actually not helping them at all. And I'll leave it at that because we'll go deeper down the rabbit hole, but we don't have
you know what? That's an interesting view on that, because when I looked, and it's long, it's lengthy. When I read the immigration bill this morning, it really wasn't much aid for the Mexican border. Like I said, they put in certain things. They put a person from Homeland Security in charge of stopping it when certain numbers have been met. But it's not, they did talk about some of the children they're going to treat differently or handle in a different way. It's not much like I encourage everybody to go ahead and read the bill, because honestly, the focus is really just on Europe, to be honest. There's no help for Mexico. And the way they're treating it is like, we're going to let some people come in a little at a time. So I know this was a difficult bill to pass because a lot of Republicans was opposed of it. There's a lot of places that's being affected, like Connecticut and New York and places like that, including Texas. Now I saw that this is coming straight from the Wall Street Journal for the people who want to go look it up for themselves, that Topeka, Kansas are telling the immigrants, if you have permission to work in the U.S., come here. So they're asking the immigrants to come there. And I mean, it makes sense because they don't really have a lot of people that want to go to Topeka, Kansas. But if you can work, they're inviting you to come there. They want you. They're directing these efforts towards Spanish-speaking countries, because in other areas like New York, Chicago, Denver, Texas, there's a number of immigrants, and that the U.S. government is really concerned about. So, hey, if there are immigrants out there, y'all want a place to go, Topeka, Kansas is waiting for you for open arms. Anyone else have seen the bill, want to comment on the bill, what your thoughts are? Well, just in case you are a Spanish-speaking immigrant, there's a choose. They were offering in Kansas $15,000 for people to relocate. So pass it on. If we have nothing else on this particular subject, we are going ahead and take a break, and we will come back with P-Dub and JK with some quick sports news. Again, you're tuned into ARN News with Amelie and Friends.